Hello and welcome back to Culz Book Reviews. I know we've been doing a little bit more than usual as of late, but I'm recovering from surgery, guys, so I've had a lot more free time, we'll say. And so I've just been trying to find some either fun books to read or books that tie into the weekly topic. And this one falls into that latter category because obviously we did our old Henry review on Monday, which turned out to be a Billy the Kid kind of what if story. And so I thought, hey, let's check out this The Kid, a novel by Ron Hansen. So Ron Hansen is a name I knew, and you can probably guess because of what it says right there. But by his book, The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford, which later became a movie starring Brad Pitt as Jesse James and Casey Affleck as Robert Ford. So when I saw Ron had written a book about Billy the Kid, I knew I had to get it, so immediately I got off Amazon. It's actually not too expensive, so as usual, if you want to purchase it, the links will be in the description below. But I knew right away I had to read it. I just was figuring I'd put this off more towards, June and July as we build up towards a lot of the Billy the Kid stuff. But I figured since we did the old Henry review on Monday, and perhaps we have something coming up on Friday about Billy the Kid, or that topic at least, I figured this would be a perfect book to jump into this week. So this book is definitely not your typical biography, and that's because it's really not a biography. It says multiple times that while this is based on some history, obviously it's just a story. So it's a fiction with a lot of history, we'll say. And it does give you warnings multiple times about that. As you can see here, it says, not that it matters, but most of what follows is true, by William Goldman, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Just kind of showing, while there is a lot of truth to it, not all of it is nonfiction. And then in acknowledgments by Ron himself, it says this is a work of fiction based on fact. And it shows you all the different books, there's some more on the other side, that he went through and tried to make sure that this book, while fiction, had a really good, strong foundation based on fact. And yeah, we've definitely reviewed some of these. You can see the Pat Garrett Authentic Life of Billy the Kid. And if you go down here, you see Billy the Kid, The Endless Ride, which has definitely been one of my favorite ones I've read so far. So this time, it's a paperback, as you can see here. And then at the top, you just have Ron Hansen. You got some, quotes from John Irving. It says the author of The Assassination of Jesse James by Coward Robert Ford. You got a picture that's supposed to be Billy the Kid. Then you have The Kid. Below, a novel, and then it just says the kid's story has been told many times, but not like this. We'll go to the side here, and you just see Ron Hansen. You kind of see more of that gun smoke coming off there, maybe ghostly smoke. I'm not quite sure. I'm kind of going to side with gun smoke. And then it goes The Kid. You just got the logo of the publisher right there. And then we'll go to the back, and it just talks about a little basis about Billy the Kid, and then what to kind of expect in the book. You got some more quotes, this time from the Wall Street Journal. And then you got a little bit about Ron Hansen. As you can see, again, The Assassination of Jesse James, which is a fantastic book and movie. At some point, I will have to review both of those for you. But yeah, that pretty much is it. Here's the ISBN if you guys would like that one. And then as far as the inside, it's just a basic novel this time, guys. It's words and words and words. At the very beginning, there is some stuff that you might enjoy, and it's mainly to help you guys understand where each thing is happening. And at the beginning, it does have major characters and kind of gives you a brief overview. But this is what I was talking about. It kind of gives you a map of the New Mexico territory at the time and the major spots that take place. You can see Fort Sumner there. Roswell is mentioned a little bit. You see Lincoln, you see the Tunstall Ranch, Blazer's Mill, you see Stinking Springs over by Fort Sumner. And so that one was kind of cool. And then it also, on the very next page, gives you this brief map of, what was the village of Lincoln at the time. And right here is what is the house. We have visited that. Pretty cool. You can see where the McSween house was next to the Tunstall store. And this is really cool if you are reading and want to kind of see how close everything was. Because I think at least what we've seen in movies has led a lot of people to believe it's a lot bigger and maybe more expansive, but Lincoln is really just a small street. We've been through it. It's really cool, really fascinating to walk through this historical place that all these events, at least for us, that we've read about quite extensively. So if you've read some of Ron's other books, you might come to expect the writing style found here. Now, I don't put this above The Assassination of Jesse James. That's still one of my old-time favorite books. You might go in expecting a, really fanciful fictional story, and that's just really not what you're going to get here. For a lot of it, it does read more like a biography or an autobiography, where some people might call it dry. For me, it was fine. I really enjoyed it. It didn't bore me. I really wanted to get back to it. And for me, that could be hard facts. I mean, sometimes the Billy the Kid stuff, like, it gets so repetitive because a lot of people are just rewriting the same stuff over and over and over again that it does feel like reading the same book. And so, luckily, because this does have some fiction tied in, it was something different. Obviously, it's not 100% fact, and a lot of Billy the Kid stuff can't be, especially if you're basing off some of the early stuff, which was highly fantasy or made more to make other people feel good, like in the Pat Garrett one, where I think a lot of it was to kind of justify what happened. At the same time, show that he wasn't just a cold-blooded killer, and that was Pat Garrett. And then if you base it off of like the saga of Billy the Kid, you can kind of see where some of the romance and as far as his love interests come from, especially Celso, which usually is not the name that's brought up a lot. You will see it from time to time. A lot of people do question because there's other books, especially the saga of Billy the Kid. But a lot of times you really just see like Sally Chisholm and Paulita Maxwell. And they do both appear in this book, but they're rather brief. And Sally doesn't really seem like a true love interest, but Paulita seems more like Billy's love that got away. So how does Ron depict the kid? Overall, I think he does a pretty good job. I don't think he tries to make him overly like a Robin Hood character, but at the same time, he's not one of those books that's trying to demonize him. It more just seems like he's trying to show who he was. And for the most part, out of any of the outlaws of the Wild West, I think Billy the Kid's most misunderstood one. Obviously, I think he gets a lot of notoriety and stuff that he really didn't need. Like, yes, he was really good at what he did as far as being really quick to the draw or a good shot, this and that. Yes, he did some bad things, but compared to all the other outlaws, Billy the Kid really, he wasn't a cold-blooded killer. He wasn't actually going around stealing money, robbing banks or trains. He did thieve horses, but that was also super common at the time. He wasn't the only person doing it. And it almost seems like a tragedy where Billy the Kid he never got that fair chance to be on that the right path. It seemed like at every instant when something would start going good, but he moves out west with his family, but then his mom gets tuberculosis and dies, and his stepfather leaves him and his brother as orphans pretty much. And then you go to like New Mexico where he finally gets this job with John Tunstall, and someone, if he was able to work with longer, I think we probably would never have heard of Henry McCarty, William H. Bonney, Kid Antrim, the Kid, because I think he could have just had a normal life and enjoyed peace and probably some prosperity. But instead, John Tunstall is killed down in really a cold-hearted act. The sheriff pretty much, I feel like, knew what was going to happen. That's why he didn't go with the, deputies that they had sent out, that mob or posse that cold-bloodedly killed him and then killed his horse and then posed them like they were sleeping together. And I think that was almost like that point of no return, especially once you see the Lincoln County War start, because then, once he kills Brady, I mean, that's it. And because Brady was the one that sent out the crew to kill Tunstall, I don't think there was any way that wouldn't have happened. Now, Billy was not the only one shooting, and there's no way to prove Billy was the one that killed him. But unfortunately, everyone knew how good of a shot Billy was, and that's kind of why it stuck. And he had the most notorious name of the quote unquote regulators. And so Hadley Wallace in the third and final portion held up his side of the offer and actually, pardoned Billy the Kid after he risked his life to come out and testify against some of the members of the former house. Again, I think that's another portion where Billy would probably not have been on the run, not been living that outlaw, lifestyle. And so I think there was multiple times where Billy tried to get on that right path and just for some reason that's just not what was supposed to happen, I guess. Because life just decided it was supposed to go another way. And it does seem like a tragedy, and this book does play it out that way. Like you kind of read it as you're going through, where you meet these characters, you start kind of not getting attached, but you're like, okay, they're going to be around for a while, and then they're just gone. And throughout the book, it does kind of update you what happened to each character after their last meeting with Billy. And as that happens, it feels like the world's kind of getting smaller and smaller until almost it's like the kid knows there's nothing left. And he almost feels kind of like, not like he's destined for what happens at the end, but he definitely sees that the world is shrinking. You see that, his mother's gone, his stepfather leaves him, then his brother and him, you see that last meeting, and then you see Tunstall killed, you see what happens where Sally goes down to Texas, you see what happens with, a lot of the regulators, but then more specifically with Charlie Beaudry and Tom O'Folliard. You see Jesse Evans' story, and then you see Paulita Maxwell, and then finally Salsa, and it's almost like the world is so small. Like, what is Billy to do? It's like the world is boxing him in. And so, yeah, that's one thing I did enjoy while reading this book was it updates you throughout what, happened to each character after that last encounter with Billy the Kid. And so it kind of makes you wonder some of their intentions or some of just what Billy would have felt. And towards the end, spoilers, when Billy gets shot, which shouldn't be a spoiler, right? Obviously, we all know he got shot that night, July 14th, 1881, by Pat Garrett at the Maxwell farmhouse. And if you know anything about the story, you know that chapter, K&S, you know what's happening, because those were his final words. K&S. K&S, and then 2 shots. But this time, instead of just showing him dying, it shows him dying, and then it almost is like an out-of-body experience, like his soul is leaving his body, because it shows you what he felt, and then he feels this really nice, relaxed, calming sensation, a calm that he's never felt before because he's always been on the run. And as he lifts above his body, he feels regret for what he's done. He feels regret for who he's become. He wishes he couldn't have done that. And that's kind of some of the closure we might not see with any of these Billy the Kid books. And that's something that I definitely really enjoyed. And then contrast that with the Pat Garrett side, where he was a non-believer in the afterlife, and it's short and sweet, and once Pat's killed, he's just buried. And it wraps up really nicely, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I can't say that enough. Is it the perfect Billy the Kid book? I don't think so, but again, it is not the most imperfect book. It's actually better than some of those early books that were supposed to be biographies, like The Authentic Life of Billy the Kid, The Saga of Billy the Kid, where those are biographies, but actually there's more fiction in that than this fiction book, which is interesting in itself. So overall, it's well written. It sticks really well to the known history of Billy the Kid, or at least what we know now. And while it does sprinkle in some stuff that maybe I felt like didn't need to be in there, considering it was a fictional book, I mean, it's okay. It never lost my interest. It never made me not want to read it. I always was looking forward to reading it, and I read it super fast. So I'm super happy that we were able to pick this, and I'm super happy we were able to share it with you guys, especially following up on that old Henry one. Now you got 2 really good instances of maybe some fictional Billy the Kid stuff to, fill your mind with. Like I said, we got plenty of Billy the Kid stuff coming up in late June, early July, so stay tuned to the channel for that. This is one of our biggest topics, so I hope you guys really enjoy that. I know we have always been super interested in the story of Billy the Kid, and the more you find, the more you kind of feel bad for him. But if you want to find more Culz book reviews, click that link to your left. If you want to see more about what we're doing here at Culz Paranormal, click that link to your right. And don't forget to hit that like and give us a subscribe. And let us know, have you read this book? And what's your favorite fictional story of Billy the Kid?